Alrighty. It's been so long, fellas. Can you actually hear me? I guess you can. Let's put down the music. Hi, Sensei. Good to see you guys. It's been when did I stream last time? Mike is very quiet, huh? Mike is very quiet. It shouldn't really be quiet. Are you sure? Is it the case for everybody? And wow, Smadi, Spam, Cedric. Oh wow, really? That's not good, man. That is really bad. Wait, what? Yeah, that is really bad, man. Why would my mic? Well, okay, to my defense, I'm not talking very loud, but because my wife and kid are sleeping. But later. Give me 1 second. Let's fix the microphone first. That's a little bit weird. Why would it not? Play one game, my friend. Oh my god. Good to see you, dude. Give me guys 1 second, manual. I mean, I'm talking to the microphone directly, so you guys should be able to hear me really loud. That's really weird. Okay, give me 1 second, and then No, it's not the wrong way. It's not the wrong way for sure. Something's weird. Give me 1 second. What about now? Is there any difference now? Is there any difference now? Yeah, that's not good, guys. That's not good. Let's see. I guess it's the same now, right? No difference. Okay, wow, what a start. What a start. What the hell is happening? Unless you guys are trolling me, but no, I'm not talking that no, definitely no. Man, am I talking into the right microphone? Wait, let's see. Maybe I'm talking to something completely different. No, it's fine. Programming love. Yeah, but this kind of sucks now, guys. Give me a second. Why would it not be loud? That makes sense. All right. What about now? Is there any difference now? Any difference now? Better. Okay. Yeah, but that kind of sucks, man. Like, I expect it to be way better than better. Huh, I'm on max and it's still quiet. Give me 1 second. All right. Test. Nah. Microphone, sure. Yeah, I don't actually know. Think it should be fine. So weird. All right. I hope that this is fine now. It should be, I guess. What do you guys say? It's acceptable now. Screw you. No, that's not good, man. I don't get it, bro. It's the best microphone on the market almost. I don't know if you guys are shitting on me, but yeah, that's what it is, I guess. That's how it is, I guess. Okay. All right. All right, this is the music. Let's leave that there. All right, fellas. All right. Okay. So yeah, actually, before we start coding, so we haven't seen each other in a while, right? Why? Maybe 3-4 weeks ago, I had my family here, my brother and his wife and kid, for like 2 weeks, and then I hired a private trainer in the gym that I'm training twice a week now, every week. So I'm spending a lot of time in the gym, just exercising and stuff. And yeah, I just needed a break from streaming a little bit. So there's nothing really special. Work is the same. And everything's the same. It's just I've been focusing now a lot on my exercising and stuff. I want to get really pumped up in a year. That's my goal. So so I've been spending more time focusing on health and food and exercising and a lot of other stuff, basically. Shut the fuck up, trolls. And also running, yeah. I mean, I do around 10,000 steps every day now as well. So, so of course, I'm walking a lot every day as well. Actually, I think today I did around 10,000 steps as well. Let me actually take a look at that. Yeah, today I did 8,644 steps, so 7 kilometers today. So that's where I've been. If you're wondering, and that's what I've been doing. Alrighty, so with that said, 5 kilometers a day is Snail. Good evening, buddy. Okay, so with that said, there were a few things that I was doing off stream before I continued basically streaming, and basically, if just to remind you, right? So of course, just to remind ourselves that this is programming network stuff, right? So if you guys remember, right, just so we can get back on where we're gonna continue today, right, is if you remember, we have an infrastructure programming network. Yeah, these are just local host things. So this is nothing secret. This is just local host stuff here. Okay. So if we take a look at the diagram, right, let's just kind of recap where we stopped, right? So this is the infrastructure of programming network, if you guys remember, right? And I kind of had a Docker Compose file with all of this infrastructure in this single place, right? As you can see, there's a bunch of services here. If you remember, we host our stuff on Cloudflare Pages, our front end. And then the whole infrastructure is on Hetzner, if you guys remember, right? But we haven't really been doing the Docker-based approach, right? We haven't been developing like that, right? So basically, in simple words, what we're going to be doing starting today in the stream is we're going to be actually running things in Docker. Why, right? The follow-up question should be why Docker, right? Well, so far we have a bunch of different services, right? And if you remember, maybe a month and a half ago when I streamed the last time, we added this image classifier, right? If you remember, we created this image called image classifier. I think that's what I named it. And this image classifier, if you guys remember, was a service that we're gonna start using now to make sure that people who upload images, you know, they don't upload hentai porn images and stuff. So it's this little microservice we made, right? So this is what we did the last time when I streamed, was this little microservice that's using a not safe for work library, right? And TensorFlow. So if you remember, as you can see, TensorFlow and not safe for work. Luminex, my friend, good evening. So basically today what we're going to be doing, and what I actually did off stream before I started streaming, is we're going to have we basically have to now start as part of our infrastructure using the not safe for work, this microservice we made. And as you can see, I have separated our, because I have, so before, as I said, I had a single Docker Compose file. Now I have separated all of these services into two groups, into two Docker Compose files. One is the actual backend of ours, which is this thing, and the tooling is in a different one. So as you can see, this Docker Compose is for our tooling. So Grafana, Prometheus, Loki, Port Trainer, bunch of other services that you're going to see in a moment, right? So basically, if we kind of start today again, continue our streams, I'm going to go to my infrastructure. I'm going to seed into Docker and, for example, backend, right? And I can just run my shell script here, right? I can just say development here, right? And so you can see now I have separated our actual backend of programmer network when you go to production versus all of the tooling that I use for monitoring, reporting, error logging, Docker images, performance metrics, etc. Right? So I've been kind of focusing on that the past 2-3 days since I started continue the project again. As you can see, these are actual services that our API runs on. And then we had all of these services for P and tooling, right? Which is essentially just Prometheus and other things. So you can actually maybe try running that as well. And I want basically to equalize. I want basically my development environments to be exactly the same as my production environment, right? So if we try running this as well, right? My best man is here. Good evening, man. Okay, what's happening here? Are we managing to... it's tooling, okay. So I didn't actually create... So actually what I'm actually going to do, just very quickly here, before we do this, let's just stop all of these services. And what I'm actually going to do, because I haven't finalized that yet, before we actually continue coding... Ouch, that's not what I wanted. Let's go back to infrastructure, right? And... so just as I did in my backend here, right, as you can see, I have the override file, because this override file is practically for production, right? Because my Docker Compose file uses, you know, internal, external, and shared networks. So I have a couple of Docker networks. You know, most of my services really should only be accessible only by the API itself, right? So, but in development, it's a little bit different. I need some other things. And in development, I'm going to be running my front end actually outside of Docker, because I don't really need to Dockerize my, you know, a Vita project, right? So because my Vita project is not Dockerized, I need to be able to access these services like outside of the network. Electro Gaming, good evening on YouTube. Okay, so anyway, so what I'm going to do here as well is I'm just going to go here and say, let's just say here development. And I'm just going to basically have this shell script pretty much as I have this one, right? Here, essentially, I'm no longer actually loading the DNV. So what I'm going to do here for my tooling group of services, right? I'm going to do this. I'm going to call this program network tooling running Docker Compose. There's no override here yet, so I'm going to get rid of this, right? And if we actually go back here, did I remove these? I'm going to remove these two groups of containers now, just because we're going to run a new one in a moment, right? So I'm just going to, and we need to just make sure this script is executable by the current user. So if we try this again now, right, you can see here that now we have a second group of services. Okay, so it failed mounting something. The alert manager failed for some reason. So let's try running it again, even though we don't really need alert manager locally. Yeah, yes, Madi, you're absolutely right. We can just do the, I usually, we can prune the images. Can we Docker container prune? Let's do it like this, right? Exactly. And then let's do it this again. It doesn't really matter, right? So let's see what didn't. So Prometheus is actually, Promtail is not running, Alert Manager is not running. So it's fine. But for example, we can take a look at Portrainer, right? It doesn't really matter, right? So we can actually see that most likely it's because of some of the env stuff, right? But it doesn't really matter, right? The point is we're gonna set this up. You know, I'm back into streaming now regularly, so we're gonna set this up properly, right? The idea is what's gonna change in the streams from before, pretty much, right? Is we're gonna be, you know, enforcing this Docker-based development mainly because I have so many services now that when I want to add a new service, I need to not stream and do it off stream and integrate extra services, right? So we're also going to start using Portrainer a little bit more, right? Because yeah, we will be able to just you know, add more Docker Compose files or whatever a little bit easier, right? So we'll be able to just, for example, right, go to environments or registries, whatever, and then do whatever we want, right? So let's go to Docker here. It's not true that I don't like Kubernetes. I actually have a tutorial on Kubernetes I made. It's not true. It's again, like no, definitely not. Look, so it's not about me liking it. Kubernetes is a huge trap, right? Companies are making huge mistakes, right? This is let me in 2 minutes explain how you want to use Docker, right? You have three aspects to this. You have Docker standalone, right? And you have Docker Compose, which is really mostly meant to be used for development, right? But bear with me. Then you have Docker Swarm. And then you have Kubernetes, right? Right? Programmer Network as a project is at the stage, it's a very low scale, very low, I mean, barely no people using it, right? I don't need Kubernetes or Docker Swarm to provision extra things or to auto scale or high availability, because high availability of what, right? So every single project that you start that's not utilizing cloud-based services like GCP, AWS, Azure, you want to use Docker. Next step, really, if you get that far, if you're really that, like you have a lot of users, you care about, you know, HA, high availability, and a lot of other things, right? You go Docker Swarm. It's going to solve a lot of your problems. If you're really doing really great and you need absolute scale, absolute administration over your containers and your servers, you go Kubernetes, which is incredibly complex, right? The reason why Kubernetes is complex is not because of the nature of Kubernetes itself. It's because of the lack of understanding that you really need to hire a person who really does Kubernetes almost only, right? There's a lot of people who, you know, you know, say, yeah, let's integrate Kubernetes. You know, what can go wrong? We're going to learn it along the way, right? You will not learn it along the way, right? You need an expert DevOps person who does Kubernetes if you need it. But again, I can say out of my asshole statistics, probably 80% of companies who use Kubernetes, they don't need Kubernetes. They use it because they've seen someone else talk about it on LinkedIn, on Twitter, whatever. So anyway, Docker is going to go a long way before you need something like Docker Swarm and then Kubernetes, which is, again, incredibly complex, right? And it adds a lot of overhead. You need also someone to maintain it, someone who knows it, right? Yeah, I mean, of course, any numbers I use, or at least in this context, are pulled out of my ass. But you get the point, right? So this is you should strive not to use Kubernetes, right? Right? So you should strive, you should be asking the opposite question. How can I not use Kubernetes, right? I have Kubernetes running here on my cluster in my home server. but it has no function as such, right? Again, Kubernetes makes sense when you scale a lot of things, a lot of servers, a lot of networks, a lot of VPNs, a lot of things, right? Having Kubernetes running pods in an idle mode is an absolute and utter waste of time, right? So, I mean, if we take a look at Grafana or programming network, right? Let me show you, right? So if we take a look at let's take a look at my server right now. So let's take a look at the server right now in production, right? So we can see that we need to do something with this. So you can see that currently my server is using less than 7% of CPU, 8% memory. And if we take a look at the total requests of our API on average, which is none, basically, right? So if you take a look at the Node.js application dashboard, right, you can see that there's on average 5 requests per second, right? Actually, this is not per second, I think this is per minute even, right? So this basically infrastructure of mine can currently run on a smartwatch, right? And still it still be sufficient, right? So Kubernetes and stuff would be, I mean, absolutely ridiculous, right? All right. at least, exactly. Auto balancing and all of that stuff, 100%. All right. So, but it's good. Okay. Anyway, so what's gonna be my goal this week is running exactly the same infrastructure locally when we develop as we are running in production. And again, why? Well, because again, we have a lot of these services, right? And now we are adding image classification, this microservice we wrote, a very simple one. And then obviously we need to finalize the task runner, right? So I want to be able to do all of this locally. It perfectly works. And I just ship it to production, right? So far, it has been very different workflow, and it was stressing me out in a way. And I was reluctant to add extra services because I'm like, ah, shit, now I need to not stream, and I need to do this off stream, and I need to test this in production, blah, 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 right? So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, again, so everything that I'm saying, right? Everything that I'm saying is slowly crystallizing itself out, right? So the good thing with the good thing with the tech market getting worse in a way is that a lot of people are becoming rationalized by force, right? So as we are slowly moving away from being the diamonds of the industry, developers and stuff, as programming is becoming more mainstream, it craves and delivers more rationale, right? More logic, more sense in people, right? So, you know, for many years so far, we were almost like this industry was like video games, right? People would just use things because it was cool, right? Who gives a shit? Let's use Kubernetes because it's cool. But as this industry is getting tougher and tougher, right? People will be forced to actually make normal decisions like, hey, I'm not going to use Kubernetes because I have no users, for example, right? And stuff like that. So with me saying it or not, I think that things will change for the better, or logically for the better, by force, if not by common sense, right? That's just what I see happening. Okay, cool. So basically now I think if I run, so the only thing, as I said, that I'm going to run separately from outside of the Docker network and Docker context is going to be my front end, right? And the front end basically, right, is going to be running separately on a, right, like here, which is exactly just so I can give you the context a little bit. So if we take a look at the overrides here, so if we take a look at my Docker Compose over here, right, you will notice that, for example, hey, Alex, why is Redis part of the external network, right? Why is Nginx, Certbot, whatever? Well, because my front end right now is separated from the Docker network itself, it's not part of the same network, it needs to access some things, right? It needs to access certain things, right? So let's see, I haven't been working on a project for a month now. So to be honest, I don't. So let's see how this is gonna go, right? So one thing that I want to accomplish this stream at least now is that we actually establish. Well, two things I want to accomplish this stream, right? Give me 1 second. So it's one thing is this. So set up Docker based development of our API, right? And the second thing was what was it? Numinix just threw me off. Fuck you, Numinix. Completely threw me off. Man, I literally forgot what I wanted to say because of him, asshole. Oh yeah, screw you, man. And yes, start using image classification service that we wrote, right? Okay, never mind. I got it back. Okay, so first thing that we need to do, right, is we need to figure out, okay, so first thing we need to do, right, is we need to basically, here in our backend, right, maybe potentially even here in the Docker override, basically what we need to do, we need to ensure that I can create a volume that points from my local project, from my Windows Linux subsystem, inside of the Docker container of my API. So when I save and whatever, it basically restarts, right? Etc. So it's a regular development, right? Okay, so that's what we need to do now. Okay. Probably, I suppose, because this override for us is for development, we could, in theory, create a volume here. Yeah, here it is, right? So these are the volumes, right? So here I would have to create a volume between, okay, so if we use Docker, if we use this Docker desktop, right, just a little bit easier stuff, we could also use VS Code. If we go into the API image and then we go exec, right, we'll notice that so we'll notice that basically what was it? All right, never mind. So we need to create a binding between this directory. So I need to make sure that this container reads my local code, basically, right? So that's what we need to do. So if we go, and I guess we can do this in the override, right? Yeah, pwd, exactly, app, okay. Right, so we need to mount the volume, right? And actually here we have the bind mounts, right? So we have the bind mount here. So what we could basically do, let's take a look. No, we don't care about the file. So if we go into the override over here, I suppose, right? Here we have the API. Give me 1 second. Because we only want to do this in development, right? So compose, production, right? Exactly, right? So here, if we grab the volumes, but I don't want to. So if I do this, and this is going to be a little bit tricky, I think, because I need to get yeah, let's take a look at that, right? So we know that container location is going to be app, right? So we know that probably, right? So it's going to be, give me 1 second, root. So is it going to be like, all right, never mind. Okay, but then this part is going to be a little bit trickier. Let's take a look at that, right? So if I go to my API, Yeah, but no, not really, right? I don't think this is gonna work because this is, I'm getting the path now from my Ubuntu, my Windows Linux subsystem, right? So let's actually let's ask ChatGPT. For those of you who don't know, I'm no longer using ChatGPT directly. I'm basically using a lobe chat with I'm using an external application with fuck, did I remove it? Yeah. Well, I was using lobe chat, so give me 1 second. I need to set that up again. I think by accident I removed it. Let's set up. So basically, I'm using lobe chat with a OpenAI key. Where was it? Docker. Shit, I genuinely thought, huh? Yeah, I mean, I was also hosting it here in my, yeah, here it is. Okay, that's super strange. Wow. Yeah, that's fine. That's all fine. Yeah. Elvis chat. Oh, there's my dear friend Elvis. Good evening, my friend. How are you doing? Let's take a look at this. Did I not expose the port? I probably didn't. Yeah. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, I didn't. Okay, screw that. All right. Give me a second. Let's nuke this. Yeah, it's a first stream after a while, so forgive me. So let's try this again. 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's just expose that. Yeah, the prune messed it up, right? Because my image was actually, yeah. So let's take a look at it now. Yeah, okay, so now it works. So in theory, this should also open. And yeah, good. We have it still. Right? Okay, so let's ask. Let's come here and say I want to. Okay, so let's go to my Docker thing. Let's actually get over here. I'd like to create a volume in my Docker compose file from my VSL2 API project to a Docker container. Well, make sure if you're going to use Hetzner, right? Make sure to get the link from my make sure to get the link from here, right? So this is a referral code, right? So here is the Hetzner referral code. Good evening, Elvis, my friend. Because I think a few of you have already, we already paid a month or two of hosting a programmer network. Let me actually check how many of you have actually referred. So if I go to referrals, you can see actually that, well, there's 9 referrals, 7 are pending. Or actually, no, yeah, but you can see only 20 euros got paid so far. So make sure to use that thing if you're gonna, yeah. Okay, cool. I've been using Hetzner probably for 15, 20 years. I mean, I think it was one of the first hostings when I was a kid, when I was still living in the Balkans. I use Hetzner because it's almost like, I don't know, how would I say it, almost like nostalgia. I used to host my Joomla and WordPress and a lot of very old stuff back in the day there. And to be very frank with you, I'm very happy that they still exist. Hetzner, is a very old company. People don't know that. Balkans mentioned, exactly. Hetzner is a very old company. I mean, I literally, yeah. So trust me, like I maybe I was, first time when I paid for Hetzner was in 2000 maybe. I had my own website running on WordPress. I think it was alexandergrbic.com. This was not my first website, but I think I used to host self-host my one of my first websites there. I don't actually remember. I had a bunch of other stuff. I remember that I was using some hacked version of some forums, and then I got banned. And So yeah, so this is 2010, so it's not this one, but this one was also hosted there. So this was, yeah, basically what, 14, 15 years ago. But there was another one, I don't remember the domain. But either way, yeah, it's a very old company. As you can see, if you go to their pricing, I think it's very generous. Depending what you need, right? Especially the shared CPUs, right? But dedicated stuff you can get, for example, from, let's say here. So 14 cores, right? I mean, this is incredible, right? I mean, this is absolutely insane, right? 14 cores, 20 threads, 64 gigs of RAM, right? I mean, this is absolutely insane, right? I mean, for any business, especially if you're generating any profit and you want to self-host, you don't want to, pay for some of the services, which of course we discussed many times. I think this is absolutely incredible. What I'm using for Programmer Network right now, I think it's around 20 euros. It's a massive overkill. I wanted to downscale a lot, but for a long time, as you can see, I'm paying around 20 euros a month. Absolutely unnecessary, right? I can run 500 more services on this server and still is going to be underutilized, right? But this is basically what I pay for, and these are very serious servers, Smadi. You can run whatever you want, but I would always advise for any low latency stuff, I would advise dedicated servers, right? Because the downside of shared hosting services is that they fluctuate a little bit more and they're not as reliable, right? I'm running a lot more than that, Zaire. I'm running around, well, I'm running, let's see how many. I'm running 15 containers, 15 services there, yes. I'm running 15 services there, and if we take a look at my Grafana and Prometheus and stuff, right? So if we go to my, you can see that, so right now there's 15 Docker images running. CPU is basically unused, memory as well, right? So Mauser, exactly, man. I mean, this whole project could run currently with no traffic, no interest from people, could run easily on 5 euros a month as well. They would be pretty much no difference. Now, of course, let's see now when we deploy the image classifier thing, because this is running on TensorFlow, right? So this is gonna, it's not dedicated, it's cloud. You cannot get this, yeah. All right, so going back to this, let's see basically, so yeah, so it's basically telling me exactly what I asked it to do. So we can try to bind this. I don't think this is gonna work, but let's try. So if we go here to the override, to the Docker Compose override, right? I essentially want to bind, I have not done Rust, no. Actually, you see Elvis here in YouTube chat. Elvis, he used to be my tech lead and my colleague before he was my tech lead many years ago. I think he bought a Rust book when Rust was still in alpha. And I remember we used to look at that book together at work. This was maybe, how long ago, Elvis? Maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. But I have no use case for Rust. That language doesn't unfortunately solve anything for me. So yeah. Now the question is this override gonna override the full volumes or is gonna merge it? I don't actually know. I'm not fully sure. Not an expert in Docker, to be very frank with you. If I was doing, of course, 2018 exactly. No, I mean, look, I'm not I don't build any low-level stuff, so of course that it would be useless for me to seek, it would solve nothing for me. That's the thing, right? So yeah, so I actually don't know, right? So basically, if we continue a little bit, just to at least make some progress this stream, and then hopefully continue tomorrow, and we get back into the shape of streaming. So what I want to do now basically is create this volume, right? This bind, and I need my backend, my API. I need one running on my local computer to actually work. If you take a look at the bind amounts, right? It's actually hard to know if this works now. So that's not the only one. So first we need this. So I think so we need I think we need several things here, right? Because right now, as well, if we take a look at my API, right? Where's my API project? So we need to open several projects here. I think if you take a look at the package JSON here, right? So I should also rename this to start or whatever, but so let's just draw this because I cannot think otherwise. I need to draw. So basically, our Docker in production is running like, I don't know, command, right? npm pm prod or whatever, right? But then in development, right, we need to make sure that our Docker image, I guess. Yeah, but do we actually need to do that, right? Because here, this is just going to execute that script. It's going to run this. I don't think, yeah. So let's actually talk to OpenAI, right? So essentially, I want my Docker container to restart when my local nodemon restarts. All right, so I mean, yeah. So I was right for the most part, right? I think at least. Yeah. So we need a couple of things. I mean, right now, just for the context again, I'm trying to switch fully to the Docker-based development, right? At least from mainly the backend, because again, we have a lot of services at this point, and it's very difficult for me to whenever I want to add a new service, I have to go into my production SSH, do a lot of things there, right? And this is going to make adding new services a lot easier. By the way, we also got into a startup program of customer IO, so that's very nice. So these guys, I just applied for a startup program. I'm using this at Dream Data where I work. It's an amazing product. So we might not need to build our own event, kind of pub sub type of thing or something for sending messages and stuff, because these guys have accepted us into a startup program, this project at least, right? So if we go to plans and billing, you can see that they kind of got us into, yeah. So what you can do with if you don't know about Customer IO, it's very good. It's an amazing product, the best product I've seen for in our context for transactional emails, but generally this is a whole customer platform where you can schedule emails. So for example, when a user signs up, when users don't complete their profiles, when it's insanely good, right? We don't need all of the advanced features, but they also support integrations and stuff like that. So if you go to integrations here, completable dev, good evening, my friend, good to see you. So you can see they integrate with so many services. I rarely have so many good things to say about a product, but Customer IO has really blew my mind. You can connect it with Zapier very easy, with, you know, data warehouses like Snowflake and, you know, BigQuery and, right. So, N8N. I don't actually know what N8N is. Yeah, exactly. To be very frank with you, I haven't heard of this service before, but it has this and more, right? So these guys are about. It is automation, of course. It is automation as well, but it's about marketing campaigns and stuff like that. So you basically, in a way, yes, you're right, you automate your marketing campaigns. So what you would need your developers to do, you know, if you didn't have a product like this, you would say, hey, let's use like RabbitMQ, whatever, or something like that, and then write a bunch of these. What did we start using in Programmer Network? What was it? Let me just take a look at the diagram. BullMQ, exactly, right? And this is great, right? We're probably actually going to end up using this as well. But what is the downside, of course? Well, the downside is that I have to go, right? If we actually find that service somewhere, because I think we wrote that already at one point. What was it? Scheduler. How did I call it? Task runner. Yeah. What is the difference? Well, the difference is that I need to go and create these jobs, right? So I need to write the worker. I need to write the logic. I need to manually figure out when it's going to schedule things, right? So, of course, from the COGS perspective, cost of goods sold perspective, right? You can see this was our only job that we wrote a couple of months ago, right? If some of you were here, right? When a user signs up, but they don't complete their profile, this was a very simple job, right? That says, hey, this was just for local development purposes, but this is supposed to be, send them, I hope that's not a serious question. Send them an email. So this was days, right? So if a user doesn't sign up complete the profile, send them an email after a day, after 3 days, and after 7 days, after which, right? So this type of stuff, right, you can automate with services like this, right? Of course, now Programmer Network is as you know, it's not a project. It's far from making any profit or anything like that, right? So when this program expires, am I going to pay $100 a month for this? Of course not, right? Is this worth $100 a month? Of course it is. For a business that generates profit, this saves thousands of dollars of developers needing exactly to do this, right? And it's not just that the developers need to do this. This becomes a waterfall type of problem, because now some marketer has to come to your PM, to your product manager, and say, hey, we would like to set up this workflow, right? So you can see that from every possible perspective, it's a terrible thing, right? But since I'm the god of this platform, because I'm building it alone, for me, it's not a problem, right? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, okay. So now going back to this, right? So what we really need to do here, it seems to me, right, is we just need to update our override a little bit, right? So do we have a CMD, right? Exactly, right? So I think pretty much, I mean, if I'm to be a little bit, optimistic here, right, is if we just say here npm run dev, if I actually go to my package.json, I have a dev, right, which uses the native nodejs's watch attribute argument, sorry, that came in version 22, right? So you no longer really need nodemon. Node.js, I believe 22 came with its own hot reloading, if I may call it, right? So this is one of the overrides that we have to do. So this is fine. This is I mean, so this is exactly why I love streaming. And this is why so many of my videos, even though they don't get any views on YouTube, are so true, right? Day by day in my streams, I see these questions, and I respect you for asking the question about Kubernetes, right? I don't blame you, because you are a victim of, you're a victim of social propaganda. You're a victim of influencers. You're a victim of shitty bullshit fucking videos, man, that are killing people to ever build anything, right? It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. To some degree, I'm happy because it proves my points video after video after video. But then to other degree, it shows how bad this influence is, right? People coming here asking, why don't you use Kubernetes? Why don't you use Rust? Why don't you, right? And the huge problem with these questions is that, you know, like software developers used to get themselves to the point of asking questions by need, by the problem itself, right? So for example, imagine that I have built a product now that's so popular and I'm having scaling issues. I'm like, guys, you know, I went to bed last night and I woke up and nothing works, right? And then you would research, you would say, shit, how can I scale Node.js? How can I scale my Postgres? How can I scale this? And then that would drive you to a certain stage. You would figure out something, right? It's the most fulfilling way. That's when you get true experience. Like you have a problem and then you solve it, right? But today we're asking these questions in reverse, right? We're kind of solving problems that don't exist even remotely. And this is very extreme, right? Like Kubernetes is an extreme case. Like 3% of businesses maybe need Kubernetes, right? They reach these points of such a huge user base and complexity that they need it, right? But everything today on the internet is like this, you know, questions coming out of no necessity, just out of this brainwashing of the internet, of social platforms, of content creators, right? It's quite ridiculous, actually, and very dangerous as well. I think this is almost all that we really need to do, right? I think the only thing that I don't understand is, are we supposed to bind the... So actually, I can show you some data, right? So let me ask first. First, let me answer the question shortly. Yes, it's cheaper to use an open AI key for me. So keep in mind, it's incredibly important, that detail for me, because I don't use ChatGPT that much, right? So you can see my usage here past couple of days, right? So so this is me. So you can see essentially, can we go this week or something like that? No, July. So you can see that this month I've spent $3.47. My company is paying for this, so I don't, honestly, I'm not affected much. I don't care. But I do care because I don't want to waste my money and my company's money. I deeply care about both, right? I want to be efficient. So as you can see, this month so far, I have spent $3. So it's all about data, right? I can confirm my suspicions. That's why when I wrote this post on LinkedIn, I wasn't bullshitting people. I definitely think that most people are not going to spend $25 a month of ChatGPT, right? Keep in mind that inside of this 3.47, if we take a look at the costs, right, there's also speech API, right? Because, for example, if I go here to Lobe Chat, I can also use the speech API. I can say, I can click this thing and say, hey, what's up, Lobe Chat? How are you doing today? So, right, so this costs extra money, right? Why does it cost extra money? Because I'm using so you can use speech recognition API from the browser, from this Chromium here, which is free, right? That's part of the Chromium. Or you can use their more accurate model, right? When you're using more accurate model, you can actually see here, there's a Whisper 1 and then GPT-4o, right? So you can kind of see what I'm using it. If I refresh this thing now again, this should have increased slightly bit. But if we take a look here at, you can see here it says audio models, right? So you can see audio model, this little sentence that I just said costed 0.01 cent, right? So what I've noticed is that their speech recognition API is actually very expensive relative to the tokens and stuff like that, right? So, you can save money just by typing and not talking. For me, I love the speech API. When I'm working on my own, I'm using this speech API pretty much all the time. I don't want to spend time, writing here. I just talk and then I interface with it like that. Right? But in order to know if it's going to be cheaper for you, you have to switch on OpenAI, use the key, and then you will know, right? For me, it's a lot cheaper. Exactly, chicken. Pretty much. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, so we have created the volume, which is probably wrong. This is probably right. And that's pretty much it, I think, right? So in theory now, if you rerun this again, let's see what happens. I actually, to be genuinely, I have no idea what's going to happen. So let's try. Let's run this shell script, this bash script, and let's see what happened. So let's go here. Let's see if this is still running or if it has failed. Where's our API over here? Yeah, so it is running the dev mode, which is amazing. So that's good. Okay, so I think that's good, very good. And let's now see if the volume has worked. Then if I make a local change and I do something, this should restart basically, right? So if we go to the API project here and we go to the app.js, for example, and remove this, oh my God, it works. Yes. All right, we have our the development workflow working now. So let's actually make sure of that. Okay, let's print something here. So this is good. This is very good. This is going to change a lot of things because now we can add services a lot easier. So let's say here, does this work? And if we go to the Docker logs, here it is. Does this work? Is printed. So basically now, inside of our container, because we're binding to this volume on my local machine, and this is super nice because now we can do the same for image classifier. And when we are ready with our changes, when we are happy with the stuff, we just push stuff. I already have all the CI set up, so my images are automatically pulled by Docker Hub. Of course, many months ago, somebody asked me, "Hey, Alex, why are you using Docker Hub? We could save $10 a month on GitHub, just using GitHub repository." And you're absolutely right. I think at one point we will optimize that. Better take that $10 and invest into something else. But for now, right, so you can see we have the image classifier, we have the API here. This is some very old stuff from 7 years ago. I don't know what this is. And this basically just runs my stuff from my GitHub page. It's just connected to my GitHub repos, right? So that's not rocket science. Very simple to set up. It takes 2 seconds, right? Okay, cool. So this is very good, guys. That's great. So now what we can start actually doing. So again, the only thing that's not part of the Docker is our front end, right? And the reason for that is because our front end is deployed outside of our network, is deployed on Cloudflare pages. So that's why we don't really need to Dockerize this, even though exactly localhost. You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. That's like, you know, a developer spending 6 days writing a script that solves a problem that a developer had once. You know, let me spend 6 days to automate a task that I will never need to do again. Yeah. Standard practice. Standard practice, right? Okay, cool. I'm actually very happy. So I think we did number 1. Of course, now again, if we needed the same with, which we actually do need, in fact, because we have the image classifier here as well, right? Which we have the dev, we have the start, right? We have the build. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So just for those of you who don't know, again, so basically what we're going to do now as the second part of this stream today is this, right? So right now, before I stopped streaming a month and a half ago, we have built this not safe for work, right? We use not safe for work JS, which is using a TensorFlow and some TensorFlow image recognition model. I don't remember the name. I have it written in a README. And we have added this microservice as part of our infrastructure, right? So here it is, right? So what we're going to use this for, right? We have our API, right? We have our API. And then we have our client now that, our client that, that obviously interfaces with our API, right? So essentially here now, when users want to upload an image, like this super pretty guy here that you can see, beautiful person, very smart and humble, we need to make sure this is not porn, right? So when people try to save this, we upload this to our API. Our API asks, hey, not safe for work. Is this image a porn or is it safe? And this guy says, yeah, it's great. Then you can upload an image, right? So, and I actually don't remember, I might have already done some work there. Let's take a look at that. I just think that we need to do it a little bit differently now. So if we go over here, I think I called it like manually. Yes, exactly here, right? So this is where it happens, right? I have this little imageutils class. Inside of this class, I have few functions or methods in this context that do some things with the images. So this, as you can see, thing that converts a base64 string into a buffer. This gives me a Cloudflare full image URL from Cloudflare. For those of you who haven't been watching this stream before, I'm using Cloudflare images as a service for uploading images, right? So yeah, this is just a simple utility class, if you may, that does some of these things. And amongst them, I have this is safe method, right? It's not the greatest name for a method. I get that, but that's what it is. And what does it do? Well, it makes a call to our microservice. Leo, my friend, I love you, dude. Good evening. And then it says, hey, my service, also not the greatest name, we're going to fix this soon, says, hey, if the image is not safe, we do almost like a error as a value, almost writing like a JavaScript type, like Go in JavaScript. So it's not very idiomatic JavaScript here because this is right. So we're treating these errors almost like values, right? So if the image is not safe, we're going to return this, and we're going to return this type of error, right? So why this type of error, right? Well, some of you know that I have built a pretty awesome library or set of libraries for this project, and I open source them. And one of these libraries is basically called use AJV form, right? And this use AJV form library essentially utilizes the AJV schema, another JSON validator schema. Another JSON validator schema is used as part of Fastify.js for validating any types of requests and responses and stuff, URL parameters, query parameters and stuff. So what I basically did, I built a very awesome hook for React that integrates really well amongst the system of AJV. So my Fastify and my frontend understand each other flawlessly now, right? So when I respond to my UI with this error, this AJV validation error, this looks weird, I agree. But the reason why this looks like this is because this is the shape that AJV validator expects. So the validator expects the type and the errors as an array like this, right? So when I feed this to my UI knows how to render the error and associate it to this instance path. The instance path is the path of the field in a schema, in an AJV schema, but then also my use form associates these errors with each individual input field, right? How does it do that? Well, it does this. I can show you. So if we find some examples somewhere, right? So for example, if we go here, you can see here that I have some form object that I instantiate or create from using this hook. I give it a schema, and these schemas technically can be isomorphic as well. You could literally share the same schema in your API and your frontend, right? So in theory, I could have an endpoint or a separate service, separate library, separate repository just for these schemas, and then I could share them on both ends, front end and back end, right? So you can see here I create the object, and then this object generates some things. I'm not going to get into details, but you can see then it's associated to every input in a form. So if we go here, you can see that yeah, this is maybe not the greatest example. This is rich text editor. This is TipTap. But anyway, you get the point. Chica, I love you, man. Good to see you again. We're going to be seeing each other again almost every day, man. Okay, so cool. So anyway. So I'm going to close the front end for now. And what we're going to do, yeah, so we can see that this is how far we got. Now the question, though, is here, because we're working on a same host name. So this service is running the same host name. What should be the base URL here? Because this is running inside of the same network, right? Can we use... let me just think a little bit here. Oh, shit, we can't do this here, sorry. Let me just evaluate something. Container name. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Well, I wouldn't want to... Yeah, let's figure it out together, right? I don't know, to be honest. How can I reference a host name inside of my Fastify service? I need to be able to conceptualize the thing and pose the proper question here, right? Yeah, yeah, no, not really, no. No, that's not what I want, no. is there some sort of a shared host that Docker creates that I can use? Yeah, exactly. So I think yeah, local. I think yeah. So probably if we were to trust this thing, right, we could in theory use where is it? Image classifier, right? I suppose. So I guess we could do something like this, right? What do you think about dependency injection? I'm trying to learn about it and how. Leo, I mean, dependency injection is something that we see all over the place. We see it randomly across this project, many others, but it's dependency injection is more often kind of its clear benefit is more often seen in things like clean architecture and stuff like that, right? It's just a pattern, right, that solves a specific type of problem, right? It also adds a certain type of every pattern solves something and pollutes something, right? It's the same with clean, clean architecture and with the domain-driven development and a lot of these things, right? A lot of these things create layer upon layer upon layer, right? So a lot of these things, a lot of these patterns are you can be summarized in a way like, let me write software with parts of it not being coupled to something outside of it, right? So you're basically trying to incorporate patterns in a way so you can predict something in the future. For example, hey, what if we get rid of this database and replace it with this database, right? What if we decide to use this model instead of this model, right? So a lot of these patterns then shine because that becomes a lot easier, right? Because you're no longer now using your services or whatever directly, or you're calling endpoints directly from some functions. You have abstractions on top of them, right? The biggest problem that I have with a lot of these patterns is that almost never in practice they turn out to be valuable, because it's almost like object-oriented programming in a way, right? You have a lot of predictions to make, right? So you try to be too clever, right? But for the duration of my career, which is fairly long for my age, right? I have yet to see a company that just decides after 10 years of existence, let's just drop Postgres from MongoDB, right? So all of these patterns, again, are great, and you can write good software and they can serve the purpose. It's just in many cases, in my experience, they don't. They add a lot of complexity, especially if with these people who are very purists, right? With these programming purists, it's like, that's not how you implement clean architecture. You're missing 6 more layers on top of it, right? Then you have very pragmatic people who can implement clean architecture in a very pragmatic way, with 1 layer, 2 layers tops, right? So there's a lot of variations of these patterns. There's a huge variation and opinion depending who you ask, right? But dependency injection it became very apparent in the web community when AngularJS came out, version 1. Dependency injection still there is all over the place, right? Okay, cool. Okay, so this is in fact, I think, being called now somewhere. Yeah, exactly. So I am actually exactly, Leo. That's. I mean, again, you pretty much proved my point. Yes. That is unfortunately how it is sometimes, right? So again, patterns can be amazing and they can also be very painful depending who implements them and what is the reason. it's very common for people out of university and stuff to be very strictly bound and have strong opinions about these things because they haven't yet built real software in real environment with real issues such as people and many other things. Yeah, so you can see actually my validator works. Image verification failed. Your image contains explicit content, but does it actually work? Let's take a look at that. I'm not so sure about that. So I would actually, yeah, this is misleading. So I think this is what throw the error. Okay, exactly. So this is going to be more. So let's reply this request. Yeah, okay, exactly. So it's now giving me the correct error, which is, hey, the service is unavailable, right? So this thing here basically doesn't execute. So let's take a look at that here. So we should be seeing some, actually, let's print the actual real error, right? So let's say log, let's actually just console log the E, because the service is I don't think it's understanding this this thing, right? So, because again, for some other reasons. So let's go back here and oops, shit, okay, never mind. So let's just select any image. It doesn't really matter. Shit, okay. Okay. Oops. Actually, let's take a look at the logs now of the image classifier. Is this even being called? Are we managing to even call it? Or maybe we're not even, okay, let's go back to this other image here, which is API, right? So let's see, yeah, so it's a connection refused, 127.00.80. So it's a wrong port. It's, of course it is, right? So here we forgot to, give me 2 seconds. Yeah, exactly, right? So that's what we forgot, right? We forgot the port, right? Yes, and then of course there should be an env and stuff. So we're gonna fine tune these details. Let's not worry too much about that. That's absolutely irrelevant right now. Reply. Are we still getting the same error? Okay, so we are. Is that the port that we are actually running the service on? Image classifier. Yeah, actually, so the port is not exposed, it seems, right? So if we go to the inspect and raw JSON, yeah. So as you can see, 5.11 is not exposed, which in theory should be fine. It should be exposed internally though. So let's take a look at that. So where's our infrastructure thing? Image, so class. Image classifier, yeah, over here, exactly. Networks, internal network. Okay. I guess if we do bind this port like this, it should be fine. And we need to rerun this thing again, right? To recreate the classifier. Yes, okay, cool. So let's try that again. Assuming that everything's still up and running, I actually don't know. Yeah, it is. It seems to be at least, yes. So reply. Yeah, so it's not being called. And my only assumption right now is that it's the network. It's a Docker network problem. And let's take a look at that again. So if we go over here and the override, internal Redis, certbot, nginx, external network, API, internal shared. Yeah, let's just remove my assumption by simply commenting this out. Let's actually share external and just see what happens, right? Because that's the only assumption I have, that it's a networking problem. All right, cool. So going back here, shit. That's a little bit weird. So, yeah, that's a little bit weird. So why is it not exposing it? Is there something in the override over here that we have? Redis, Nginx, certbot, no. Image classifier. Yeah, let's just try this 511. Classifier program network, yeah. Interesting. Let's try stopping this container. Maybe it's stuck or something. I can see the CPU is at 100%. That makes no sense. So it's utilizing one entire core. Let's try to delete that. And let's try to rerun it again. That's the only assumption I can make. Let's take a look at that very quickly. Alrighty. No, it's still not exposing the ports. Any idea, anyone? Why? It makes kind of no sense. Unless, yeah, I mean, this is also something we haven't finalized last time. So why is it not bound to anything? That's weird. Backend Docker Compose. Oh shit, because it's exposed, right? That's the problem. It shouldn't be saying exposed, it should be saying ports. Why does it say exposed? That makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, that's weird. No, it's okay. It's a typo. Wow, that's so weird. I would actually expect the Docker engine or whatever to complain. Let's see. I mean, maybe, right? Let's see what happens. Yeah, there we go. So now it works. So weird, man. Wow. Okay. We're still getting an error though. So it's still not managing to find it though. But either way, right? Let's take a look at this. So listening on 511, that's cool. And then this guy is still basically saying, "Hey man, connection is refused." But it's calling it on the wrong port. Why is it calling it on the 127.0.0.1.80? So that makes absolutely no sense unless I can actually do something like this, right? Okay, let's take a look at the new log. All right, so it actually did in fact work. No, this is okay. So connection refused 127.0.80. That's weird, man. Why is it calling that? That's so illogical. So what if I say HTTP? What if I say HTTP localhost? What was it? 511, right? Okay, so that's definitely exposed, right? So if we try now, if we go over here, wow, that is incredibly weird. Let's take a look what's happening. It's probably again some networking issue. Current URL, error connection refused, 127.0.1.5.11. Connection refused. Let me read the question. I've been watching you on off some time and I haven't really ever engaged in conversation before. One that came to my mind is I wanted to ask, you seem like a busy guy, and so I'm wondering how come you have time and energy to put in the level of quality content. Well, I mean, thank you for that compliment, man. I mean, I love streaming, man. I mean, I haven't streamed now in a month and a half, so I don't consider this to be my job. I stream when I want and I stop when I want as well. I have learned for more than a year of streaming to. I had a little period of time when I was doubting if I should be doing this, to be honest. But then I very quickly discovered that the reason why I was even thinking that way was because I was putting pressure on myself. This started feeling almost like a job, a second job, right? And after I got rid of that, after I realized, hey, I don't have to do this. I'll do this when I feel like. I have no gain out of this other than talking to you people. I met so many people here. I made some friends, a lot of friends, in fact. So the gain for me is the interaction with you guys. So, but then of course with that, I realized, hey, I'm not gonna make this a second job. So I stream sometimes 3 times a week, 5 times a week. Then I don't stream for 2 months, right? And I think this is the healthy way to do it, right? So I never do this unless I really want to, unless I find it fun, right? So yeah, and I hate to say that I'm busy. You will never hear me say that sentence because I find that sentence very disrespectful to others, because everyone is busy, right? So when somebody comes to me, I'm like, hey man, what's up? It's like, oh, I'm so busy. I'm like, man, come on, shut the fuck up, you know? I mean, everybody's busy. Hopefully you're busy. If you're age of 35 like I am, or 30 or 25 or whatever, and you're not busy, then you're not doing anything with your life, right? So it's yeah. Hopefully we're gonna stay busy. That's the beauty. Our lives are not going into oblivion, right? But thank you for the question. I appreciate that. It's yes. It's just I don't impose any you know, that of course reflects my viewership, followers and stuff. Unfortunately, YouTube, Twitch, and this type of content is a grind type of game. So of course, you know, when I have these 2-month breaks, 1-month breaks, you can see that on number of people watching. You can see that with engagement. But you know, I care more about myself than I care about viewers, right? So that's just an absolutely honest answer. Of course, Leo, absolutely. It's just I would lie if I wouldn't say that. Of course, I would want more people to be here. But again, as I said again many times, I would always want 10 of you guys more than 500 others. Because you guys have been part of this journey. I literally don't feel like a one-man team on this project because you guys are here, right? And I value that 1,000,000 times more than people who will come once, get their questions answered, and then never come back again, right? So that is there's no singled out of that, right? Okay, so now I'm a little bit worried in why are we not being able to call this service, right? It's really weird. It's really weird, to be honest with you. Did I actually? Interesting. Give me 1 second. Where is this image classifier? Did I make some changes, or did I not push some changes maybe when it comes to this microservice? Sir, I can understand what someone is coding, but when I get my hands on, I'm not able to write code myself. I mean, I think the best metaphor for gaining any practical skills is sports, right? You can be a perfect in theory watching tennis. You know, you can say, hey, lean forwards, not backwards, put your knees down, do the full swing. You know, I used to play tennis almost professionally. I mean, I almost got to that point and my parents couldn't afford anymore, but you can in theory be a perfect observer of someone, but when you take the racket in your hands, it's a very different story, right? So it's the same with programming, and why a lot of people in conversations are great. They know all the frameworks, all the theory, all the bullshit, but then when you ask them what did you build ever, they have no answer, right? So, you know, talk is, as I always said, as I said many times in the stream, talk is cheap, right? Talking, anybody can do the talking, right? Talking is easy. Talking is makes people feel superior, right? But where you shine is action. What did you do, right? What did you build? What did you work on? Where did you work? That's where the value is, right? And it's so easy today to be smart on the internet with ChatGPT, with quick Google this and that. But curry bacon, yes, I took a break, I think almost of 2 months. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really, when I say I'm taking breaks from the stream, I don't literally mean that. I mean, actually, I don't mean that at all. I just had other things to do for 2 months, right? So I don't really need breaks from streaming. I love streaming. I didn't take actually any break. I just had other things that I wanted to focus on. And if I was streaming during these times, I don't think I would have enjoyed it, and I don't think that you would have enjoyed it either, because my brain was elsewhere, right? So it's not really to say I never really took a direct break, right? Thank you very much, Curry. Thanks a lot, man. It's just I realized that this was all a learning process for me, right? I mean, streaming is a very special thing. It's a very specific thing. And I learned a lot along the way. I learned a lot about myself, about streaming, and I learned that you really should do this type of stuff when you're really rested and you feel well and you want to do it, right? There were times, I'm sure that Leo remembers, when I was agitated, nervous, pissed, mad, right? And that had nothing to do with the stream. It's just my mind was in so many other places, right? And I don't like that, right? I like to be myself and enjoy this as I am now, right? Just chill out and have a chat and stuff like that, right? So it's every interaction, every single thing is a learning process always, right? Because it's not how many people on this planet do live anything, right? Probably 0.0001% or less, right? Shit. So it's a very different type of thing, and again, if I was a content creator of if I was doing this full time and stuff, that would be very different. But this is yeah. You know how it is, Leo. Like with everything in life, there's personality for everything, right? Some people would much rather sit in a corner of a room for the rest of their lives and they feel comfortable there. Some people like to turn on the camera and talk into it, right? So it's not for better or worse. It's just gladfully we're all different, and that's what makes this planet amazing. We're all different. We all have a little bit of spark to shine, and that's what makes the planet awesome, right? If everybody was like me or opposite, the world would burn. It would not be well. Address. Yeah, okay, so what if I try, shit. No, I don't think that's gonna work, right? Man, like, okay, it's just we wasted so much time on this. It's so weird. Give me 2 seconds. Maybe I was missing a protocol or something, right? I'm just gonna give it a shot. I mean, what can go wrong? No, I mean, yeah, I'm a little bit, to be honest, yeah, I'm a little bit confused why this doesn't work. Such a silly thing. It's a networking thing for sure. I just actually don't understand why not. So it understands that the image classifier current URL. Wow, okay, so, I see. So if we actually omit the protocol, right, then it doesn't like it. If we add back the protocol, it understands the IP, but then it's using a wrong port. I see, zero, exactly. Okay, let's see. Shit, man, but actually I think I have an idea now when you reminded me of that. Thank you. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna try once more because I think I know. I think you're absolutely right. I think you're 100% correct there. Let me just, this was a, okay. Huh. Okay. Wait a minute. I think this worked. No, it didn't work. Okay. Give me a second. I was so happy that the error is different. That moment when you're just happy that you get a different error. So this is a base64 image, HTTP classify, right? Yeah. Post, yeah. All right, so let's go to the image classifier, right? Where is this microservice? Here, right? If we, like localhost said, if we go to our, where is it, app or index. No, so actually I am listening to 00, right? So the host is actually correct. So this is fine. That's okay. Unless I haven't pushed that, which I actually did. So that is okay, right? So if we go to the API over here, I actually don't get it. I mean, to be very frank with you, at this point in time, it should be fine, right? Right, this is okay, right? No, yeah, I don't think we're running any, I mean, we're not running anything locally on HTTPS, right? I'm gonna try this thing like super weird, right? I actually never, just for the sake of it, because I'm kind of getting a little bit desperate here with this, because I didn't anticipate to be spending time on a networking problem, right? But either way, let's take a look at that again. Yeah, I mean, this is not gonna work. This was just a desperate brute force attempt. Yeah, I think so. Maybe we can try that. I think I'm with you. Let's see. The only thing, right, is okay. Let's go to this image classifier. Let's see how we've done this long ago in a stream. Because essentially here, what we need to do is we also need to make sure that we run the correct thing, right? Okay, so if we go to our to this infrastructure file, we'll need to do the same with. So we'll need to pretty much do something like that, right? So we're gonna have to override this for development, and the command I actually don't know if that's gonna work, to be very frank with you, but it's worth a try. Then where is the service? It's this one, right? We have the dev, right? Yeah. Yeah. So npm run dev is fine, that's okay. And then we would have to do a bind as well, right? And if I actually go to that image, to image classifier, and we go into the container, user src app, right? So we would have to essentially do that, right? Right, something like that. I would like to think so, right? If we're to mimic the API. All right. So if we get over here again and we try to run this bash script again, let's see what happens. So it's recreating the classifier now. Did it recreate it? No, it failed. Okay. To see the list, run npm run missing script prod. Oh, did I like mistype that? One sec. Yeah, it should be dev, right? Okay, my bad. Let's try that again and see what happens. Okay, so now it's running in dev. So let's see if we're actually binding, right? So if we go to the classifier service here and we go to, where is it? It's this one here, right? Yeah. So if we try 0, 0, right? So we say 0.0.0.0.0, is it actually restarting, right? Let's say here console.log, cool. Yeah, it is. Beautiful. Okay, good. So now we are running it in 0, 0, 0, 0, which, like localhost suggested, could have been an issue. And if it was, so now we should be able to omit the port, I believe. I don't know about the protocol, but we'll see in a moment. So now if we get over here, let's see what we get. Yeah, so it's still unavailable. If we get back here and we go to the API, yes, connection refused. Let's try to put in the port back. Reply. Still not good, okay. Let's just use the Docker image like this. Let's reply. Yeah, so still the same issue. George, my friend, good evening. I'm sorry I missed your message. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, this point in time, what is like? Let's just try like this desperate attempt again, because it's becoming a little bit weird, to be very frank with you. I mean, seriously. Connection refused. 511, right? Yep. Yeah, I think I'm on my host machine. Actually, that's a good question, to be very honest. That's a very good question, though. Yeah, that actually that's a very good question. Thank you. So let's take a look at that, right? Because I completely forgot about it. So expose daemon and TCP without this. Yeah, we don't. No, that's not. Enable Docker with debug by default. No, that's a very good question, actually. Interesting. Hmm. Actually, that was a very good question. Very good question. Let's say if config. Ah, shit. What disto is this? Crap. Give me a second. So many of these services I can't keep track anymore. What was this? Where's this crap? No, which one? This one, yeah. Node Slim. Ah, shit. Slim version. Okay. Wow, that's also very weird. What am I running? Like some Slim? So weird, man. So weird. So everything seems fine, to be honest here, right? I mean, all other services are working. So what's up with the classifier? So weird. Should we talk to OpenAI a little bit? Let's ask OpenAI. So yeah, let's create a new chat here. For some reason, all right, let's at least be literate here. Yeah, both services are in the same network. Yeah, for some reason, I'm unable to call my service, which is running as part of the Docker network. This is how I'm trying to call it. Call it from my API. I've also tried using a service name from Docker Compose. Let's see. Let's try to ask OpenAI. Yeah, that's already done. Okay, so that's what we learned now, right? So the service name should be used there, but we did that before as well, right? But it doesn't really matter. So let's use the service name here like this, right? Image classifier, that's what OpenAI is telling us. Yes, okay. Wasak, thank you very much, man, for coming. I hope you can come some other time as well when you have the time. Yeah, let's take a look at that, right? I don't know why my network has to be a bridge type, right? But let's give it a shot, right? Okay, let's first try again like this. Let's go to Docker override, image classifier volumes. Oh, that's a good point about the headers. I mean, we can try again, but that's yeah, could be that as well. Let's see. Yeah, no. So weird, man. I mean, not something that I was very eager to spend the time on, but you know, that's how it is. That's what it is. Just gonna expose it to the external network like this. Let's try that again. All right, cool. Give me 1 second. Okay, good. So let's try it again. We're gonna learn something. I mean, I'm gonna learn at least something out of this for sure. I know it's gonna be something silly. And also it could be an issue with the the Windows Linux subsystem and stuff like, who knows, right? Let me see the Docker dashboard. Absolutely, be my guest. Of course. Localhost 511. Localhost 511. Image classifier 1. I'm just gonna try one thing. This is a cold image. No, I don't think that matters. But there's this suffix here, -1. I don't think that would matter, right? Number doesn't matter. Okay, good. So the bind works. Yeah, it's weird, man. I mean, right? Call from the inside. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna try that. Yeah, I'm gonna try that and see what's happening. Yeah, give me 2 seconds. Oh my god, man. Are you kidding me? There's like these bare minimum images. Just but give me 1 second. Let me just try once more. So weird. So weird, man. Not what I expected to happen, to be very frank with you. Especially okay. Oh wow. Never mind. What's happening? Request fail with what? That's not a that's a new one. Request failed with 404. Ooh, okay. Give me 2 seconds. So what? So why are we getting 404 now? Let's take a look at the API logs. Okay, so it worked at one point. What the fuck? So we did actually make the call there. What? Are you kidding me? Okay, let's take a look at that again. So something has worked for a fraction of for one single request. So we did make it work, right? Let's take a look at that again. What? Okay, wait. Okay, so it is working. So dog, cow, cat. Okay, what? Request. Okay, I see. Okay, what's happening? What the? No. The biggest problem here, right? I'm almost certain that we're gonna discover is something to do with Windows Linux subsystem, right? Because we have additional layer of abstraction here that's painful. So this, in fact, returns something, right? So if we go to this guy, so get content with images. let's take a look at our API articles, thoughts. Yeah. So create thought. Okay. I mean, it's so weird because wait. So we do get a here, and then we return, right? So let's kind of, I mean, shit, do I have a debugger set for this project? I don't. That would be useful, right? But let's just manually go. So it's safe, right? Get content with images. Let's print the content here. Content here. Guitar. Okay. So let's see where we get. To what point do we get? Reply. Guitar. Do we get to the guitar point? No. Yeah, we do. Content here, guitar, null. Okay. So get content with images, right? Yes. Drums. Okay. Drums. Drums. Yeah, so we get the drums here, which is null, right? Oh, okay, so maybe we didn't finalize this the last time I streamed like 2 months ago, right? So no, so this is good, right? So if this is null, if there's no error, it's cool, right? Give me 1 second. Let's go to Cloudflare images, right? So let's actually see what's happening. I think we almost got it, right? So websites, programmer network, images. Was it here? No. It's like, oh, no, never mind, my bad. I remember. So if we go here, we go images, we go, okay, so we didn't actually upload any images, okay. So we do get here. Then we do pass this point, right? Images from TipTap, yeah. Then we get over here, right? So if we reply this and go to our logs, we should get images from TipTap, right? Yeah, here it is. So we get an image src, which is base64 string, right? The title, whatever. So far so good. And then we try the batch upload here. Oh my fucking god, dude. I know what it is. I know what it is. I think we're good. You know what's the problem? The problem is that environmental variables now. So the problem right now is that, I'm not using the Cloudflare envs in development now. So we're good. So what basically happens here, right, is we call the batch upload, and the batch upload returns 404 because it's missing. So my Cloudflare client somewhere, I must have written it somewhere at one point. Let's find it. this thing, right? Count ID and this Cloudflare image upload token is not there, right? So actually, if I go to full camera here, and I just fix that very quickly, I can't show you that. But if I fix it very quickly, no, it's good. I mean, it's actually good. We haven't spent much time on it. It was mostly the networking, right? And we're gonna take a look now why networking actually works now, right? But let's pass this point now in time just to make sure that my suspicions are correct. Okay. So now I can switch to the main screen. And if we rerun this now, hopefully it's gonna pick up the new environmental variables that I gave it. Yeah, for sure. And let's see. Okay, I think, yeah, I know why we're waiting now. Probably it's because image classifier is still booting up or whatever. But let's see, we're still, okay, it says created. But why is it not? Yeah, there we go. So now it works, right? So it was definitely the ENV. Okay, so let's take a look at why our networking was off. So what it is that... So this is what worked. And this is probably what we haven't tried initially, because I think we missed the protocol. So I don't think that we've tried the combination of the protocol, container or image name, and the port, right? Okay, that is good. That in fact works. Actually, you know what? Let me just see here. Where do we call is safe? I tried that, are you sure? So the only thing that I miss here is I want to log this here. So I want to log this just for my Grafana and Prometheus. Pretty sure. Okay, then we need to deep dive a little bit more. I actually know we are logging that already with my decorator here. How did I write this? Yeah, so we're definitely logging this already. Okay, good. So if we go back to the classifier itself, I haven't really changed anything here, right? So there's no changes done here. If we go over here, really the only thing that we've changed is the URL, right? And then if we go to the Docker Compose, let me put the networks back as they were. Let's run this again. And again, of course, again, I'm just going to try to make it an internal network because, yeah, but exactly. And I don't really want that, right? So let's try. It has to be internal, right? There's actually no need. So let's try that again. Let's see what happens if I just change it to, right? So, yes, okay. So hopefully everything is up and running. It is. Yeah, so it still works. Only with the internal network, which is good. The question is, though, if my Docker Compose services are running inside the internal network, do I have to expose the ports as well? Exactly, right. Okay. So let's, because man, it's so good that we switched to this. This is gonna help us a lot, because now I can actually test these things and spend way less time than before. So where is the, yeah. So image classifier, image classifier, right? Then technically this should suffice, right? Circuit crusher, good evening, buddy. Okay, so technically you can see that's not exposed. So the question now is it going to work now, right? I don't have absolutely no idea. I don't think so. Let's see. Big Blaster, my friend. Good evening. So I mean, I'm using Docker Compose for my infrastructure since pretty much day one. It's just I haven't used it in development, right? I would just run my API in front end locally, right, in the databases and stuff as well, right? And now I'm basically just switching to identical production environments. So because we have a lot of new services that I want to add and stuff, and now we're getting, actually, yeah, I think we're almost there. Now I can just do everything locally, add extra things to the infrastructure, and then I can just deploy it to my Hetzner, right? So I'm actually very happy. This is a very good stream. So we can actually see here that the this doesn't really work. At least not in the way that I'm calling it, at the very least. Nice, man. That's very awesome, man. That sounds like an interesting project for sure. I think the only, so if we take a look at, this, right? I guess. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's recap. So this is interesting. To be honest, I haven't done much networking in Docker. So this is very good things to learn. So let's recap, right? So as you can see, I do in fact have two Docker Compose files, right? I have my tooling, my Grafana, Prometheus, Alert Manager, bunch of them, right? And some of these actually do need access to a database, for example, or databases from the other Docker Compose file. In that context, right, you want to use external as in Use external networks if you need to share networks between multiple Docker Compose projects or need external access. Use internal network for services that should only communicate internally. Default bridge network is often sufficient for simple internal communication within a single Docker file Compose, right? So basically what they're saying, within a single Docker Compose file, we don't need to make this internal. We can just use the driver bridge, right? Let's try that now. But that's going to be a little bit problematic, I think, because my database is an internal network, which means that my Docker Compose, the other one, is not going to be able to actually no, actually that's fine. Let's try. Did I rerun this? Alrighty. Do this. Oops. Let's do this. I think that it's not too big. No, so it doesn't like it. No, it didn't like it, at least. Okay, it doesn't really matter. So I think for now, let's just make sure that we get to the point of working. We're gonna fine tune this next time. It's okay. This is awesome. So, but we do have a working. Thank you very much for being here, man, as well. I appreciate that very much. I hope you found it fun or educative, at least to some degree. And if whenever you have the time and I'm around, please come around as well. Shit. Okay. Very happy to hear that, man. Thank you very much. Did I not run this again? Thank you very much, man. Thanks. Actually, yeah, we have the channel is getting some traction, so it's getting nice, I think. So thank you very much. Okay, so that's a little bit weird now. Wait a minute. So it seems a little bit weird, but I think this is an issue with no, actually it's working. It's fine. Maybe actually it was classifying this image as a, let's see, maybe it was classifying this image as some sort of a hentai stuff or whatever. Let's take a look at that. So that's amazing. Good to be back. Shit, not that one. Okay, try that again. Dude, I keep clicking on the same image. Alrighty, this one, right? Yeah. So now that's good, right? So it's now actually telling us, hey man, yeah, that's wrong. Did we like update the wrong skill issue? Exactly. No, did we update the wrong message? Where is this? Is safe. Yeah, here. No, this is good. No, this is awesome. No. Okay, because like 2 months ago or whatever, when I streamed, I think this is where we stopped. So this is very good. Okay, no, very, very good. Okay, so I think now, so now, right now we're gonna. So the only thing actually that's wrong here is that. Yeah, exactly right. I see what's happening, right? So most likely, let's take a look at this, right? So if we go to our image classification thing, right, and we go to API and the controller, so we're getting a 400 here. I see, right? I see. Okay, so all right, so I think this now is a matter of style. What I might do now might not confide to the HTTP protocol and the constraints, right? Because I think here right now the problem is this, right? Actually, this is written perfectly fine. The biggest problem is that this returns 400 now. And then when we go to the API where we're actually calling this, right, over here, right, we're expecting this data. So we're basically expecting here a 200 no matter what. Even if the image is not safe, we're expecting 200. But because we're getting 400, we're actually ending up here, right? And here, what I really want to handle in this catch here, the exception itself, is that if the service, for example, is down, right? So I think to fix this, we need to return the 200 here and say, hey, it's actually not safe, and these are the details that you're going to get, right? And I'm almost certain at this point, if we now call this again, you can actually see now that we're getting image verification failure, image contains explicit content. Please upload a different image. Now this is, of course, a small issue with the TensorFlow model because this is not really a pornographic image, right? Okay, so this is good. So that's one of the updates we had to make. And then, of course, we need to ensure that we actually show the error in the UI. But we're gonna finalize that tomorrow, right? Okay, so guys, let's round up slowly. I'm very happy to answer any questions if there's any, and then we can see each other tomorrow again. But this is very good. This is very good. I'm very happy with this. That is very, very good. Let's see if there's any of you guys who want to discuss something. And of course, as always, as before, make sure you sign up. I don't know if this bot still works. It's been a while, but if you get a chance, sign up on Programmer Network, of course. And YouTube channel as well. Let me share that. How is it called? Shameless promotion. Yeah, some shameless promotion here. Yeah, shameless promotion for sure. But yeah, it's good to be back. We haven't seen each other in a month or two. What was it, Leo? I don't even remember. So it's good to be back streaming. Let's answer just one question before we go. And then we say goodnight to each other. Okay, let's answer some questions. Let me get this thing here. And thank you guys, of course. Thank you for being here. If you want, stick around for 5 more minutes, and then let's take a look. Okay, so let's answer some questions first. So first question is, what do you think about event-driven architecture? So event-driven architecture completable dev is maybe half a year ago or something like that. I've been to Stockholm to a Google conference. Some of you remember me sending you images on Discord and stuff. On that conference, there was one company. I don't remember the startup name. They were using event-driven architecture, right? They used GCP PubSub, something similar to RabbitMQ, right? So they built the system that was reacting to events, right? I don't remember exactly the whole discussion and the whole talk. The biggest problem, okay, so this is what I remember. The biggest problem with event-driven architecture is that it's very hard to track where it fails. Because you have all of these event emitters, you have a bunch of events triggering other events, triggering other processes. it gets very difficult at one point in time to figure out where it stopped, where it failed, right? Like when we're using things like RESTful APIs and stuff, right? You have stack traces, you have a lot of things. I call this and then I get a response, right? The biggest problem with event-driven architecture is exactly that, that oftentimes when things fail, you don't know where it failed. And then you need to ensure that the retry mechanisms are there, et cetera, right? That's where like pub/sub, GCP pub/sub is valuable and stuff like that. I don't have much experience, to be honest, with a full-fledged, full-scale event-driven architecture. So, as you know, completable dev, I try not to. I try not to have opinions on things that I haven't used in production, right? So if I haven't used it in production, I'm not gonna share any opinion on it. All right, next question is, what is the best resource for learning web dev? There's no best resource. There's so much content online. There's no best or worst. You just have to build things. So there's no better resource. Morgan Shate, I have no idea, my friend, what you're talking about. So, and I'm not sure if you're referring to me or someone else. So I don't know what you're genuinely talking about. What are your thoughts on what changed this last years in terms of how much importance you give to a programmer that struggles with data structures? What have your thoughts on what changed the last year in terms of how much importance you give to the program? I don't actually know what you're referring to. I don't know what exactly has changed. I don't think that anything has really changed. I think, in fact, most companies don't care about your knowledge of data structures and algorithms. Most startups don't. Unicorn companies like Google and Amazon and stuff like that, FANG companies, they care. Simply, they actually don't care either. It's just that they have to have some filtering system when they're hiring, right? So actually nobody cares about algorithms and data structures. Some companies have it because they get a huge amount of applicants, and they have to filter out some number of them, right? So yeah. But yeah, that's how it is. Yeah. All right. Any other interesting questions or anything like that? Nice. You answered it. Nice. Please tell us your journey, how you got here, what process you followed during. I've been working, man, for 16, 17 years so far. I learned by doing. It's been coding since I was a kid. Every journey is different, and every person learns. Everyone's journey in any industry is very much identical. You sit and you build things, and you. I mean, my journey is not going to be any significant to you, right? My journey was very different. I think 20 years ago or more, programming was very different than today. You know, YouTube barely existed, and today you have all the content that you can dream of. In 2 seconds, you have LLMs, you have YouTube, you have all of that, right? But unfortunately, as humans get more tools, they also get more lazy. So things kind of equalize. How often do you refactor the design and program network? I mean, you build something, you don't like it. Shoots them. Good evening, my friend. To be honest, yeah, I mean, design is the hardest thing of our job, right? Not the user interface per se only. User experience is probably the hardest thing when building products in general, right? I did waste a lot of time, unfortunately, for programmer network on the design. I have a friend, Doru, my colleague from work. He promised that he's gonna help me with the design. I spent too much time on the design. If you remember, I also built our own UI library for programmer network, like Yale, right? This one. So I spent a lot of time I spend a lot of time doing it, right? I have already seen Figma AI. Yes, it's not that amazing. It's not useless, but it's not. It's gonna take a while, right? So shoots them. I would say that projects like Programmer Network are not something that should be taken as any great use case of really anything. Again, Programmer Network is my passion project for 10 years, and I always wanted to do it, and I do it in like if I was building a company, for example, a real company, I would never do any of this almost that I'm doing for Programmer Network, right? So please be careful not to take any of the habits or things that I do here as right. I would never build infrastructure myself. I would never build a UI library myself. I would never do any of these things if I was building a real company, right? But I'm not, I mean, if it turns out to be a company, right? Great. If Programmer Network becomes something that people use in a couple of years, that would be amazing, right? And I'm certainly making decisions for that, right? Completable dev, likewise, man. It's always good to see you, dude. Thank you very much for coming. And I'm back into streaming, so whenever you have the time, please come around. But shoots them, yeah. You know, these things for the real projects, they cost a lot of money, so it's not very common that you rebuild these things, right? In fact, for most early age companies, UI is absolutely irrelevant, right? You're gonna find many early stage startups that barely have any UI that works, right? Just Bootstrap or something like that, right? Unfortunately, because when you start a company, when you bootstrap a company, you don't have the money to get a designer, so you basically try to get the best out of your developers, right? But certainly what you don't want to do is build your own UI library, right? If you are building a company in which you're investing real money and stuff like that, right? So that would be a suicide for the company, right? You would fail before you even start. But if I would choose, if I could find a co-founder for Programmer Network, the first person would be a designer and a business person, right? So I would not get another developer. I don't need anyone to write code. I can write all the code that I need. Currently, I'm learning MERN stack. I mean, you can learn any stack. It doesn't matter which stack you're learning. The point is to get yourself to the point of being able to provide value, right? You can learn C#, you can learn nodejs, you can learn really any stack, right? It doesn't really matter much, right? It doesn't matter much. Of course, it depends what you want to build, right? You can learn Java, you can learn PHP, right? There's jobs for each one of these categories, right? But unfortunately, your generation is crippled by so much content, so much crap that instead of learning, you're spending time on my stream now, right? Which I like. But you will not become a programmer by watching YouTube videos and by watching streams. Of course, I urge you to always come to various different types of streams, get inspired, ask a question. But the only way to learn any skill is really to do it. And I know that everybody is searching for shortcuts. It takes minimum 3 years to become a good developer, even a mid-level developer. It takes several years, and everything else that you hear is bullshit, is a lie. It's people trying to sell you courses, right? People trying to lure you into buying some of the shit that they're selling, right? You will not become a programmer in 6 months. You will not become a programmer in a year. You will learn some things, and you will be able to do some things. Of course, you'll be able to replicate, to mimic, to build some generic things in generic steps, do this and then do this. Programming is hard. It's incredibly hard. On top of that, you need to build yourself as a person, as an individual who works with other intellectuals. So there's many things when you say I'm an engineer that it goes way beyond writing code, right? Calling yourself engineer takes at least 3 years because you need to develop engineering mindset. You need to articulate yourself. You need to learn to talk, to think, to plan, to execute, to disagree, to agree, to resolve conflicts, and so many things. And that is what it means to be an engineer, not writing React components. My health is amazing, man. My health is amazing. I'm going to the gym every day. I'm paying a private trainer. I have never felt better in my life. And good evening, Leah. Good to see you. What's your opinion on Vue.js? Vue.js is a beautiful UI library or a framework. I like it a lot. So I met that guy, Ivan Yu. I met him once in Paris on a conference. Yeah, I mean, it's just the thing is, I mean, again, the biggest problem that I see on YouTube and a lot of these platforms is that everybody's selling something, right? They lure you with these videos, and then it's like, and then at the end of the video, if you only buy my course, right? There's no difference in courses, right? You can watch my courses on YouTube, you can watch Udemy, you can watch someone else's dude's courses. You're gonna learn either way, right? I'm not gonna even sell you my own videos. My videos, at least from my perspective, are very different some of the non-coding videos because I just turn on my camera and I share my genuine experience, the experience since 2008 to this day. But learning any programming languages and stuff, there's very little difference, right? If you learn from my video or someone else's, that's not gonna make huge difference. The only thing that's gonna make a difference is how much effort you put in, right? Exactly. I mean, no, look. I mean, look. Let's be real here. People should be selling courses. That's not the problem, right? I mean, it's the thing is, right? Everybody's efforts should be paying off. I don't have a problem against people who are selling courses or selling anything. I would never work for free myself. The point is not that. The point is that even if you buy these courses, it's not going to make any difference. People keep seeking for this magic wand, as I always said. If you only buy this course, you're going to kick ass. You will not, right? You already have all the content on the plan. I mean, you see what I'm doing now. My hourly rate as a developer is like 200 euros, 250 euros, right? And I'm here, now answering any questions, really, right? So how beautiful is that today that we have all of these communities willing to exchange knowledge, right? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, this wasn't possible, right? So nobody today is lacking knowledge. Knowledge is not even in demand, right? It's like content is not in demand, right? There's all the content on the planet you can find on YouTube in 3 seconds, right? But you have to sit and learn all of that, and that is the problem, right? How you balance your work? That's a very general question, man. That's a very I mean, I have a wife and a kid and a job, and that's it. I mean, I have a very normal life. There's nothing special about me or my life. I go to work like most people. I have hobbies. I'm a musician. I play saxophone and guitar. Spend time with my kid, with my wife, with my friends. I don't do anything over the weekends. I just relax. Sometimes I'm going to do this. This is how I relax as well. And that's it. There is nothing special about my life at all. So that's pretty much it. There's nothing special about any of us, really. We're all just part of the cogwheel, part of the system, right? Work on your health, of course. Take care of your health, your friends, your family. That's the most important thing. Once you get sick, then you no longer care about anything else. You just want to get better, right? So let's not pretend that people don't know this already, right? So train, you know how you know how the Latin saying goes, in healthy body, healthy spirit, right? So if your body is fat and useless and unhealthy, your mind is toxic as well, right? You know, our bodies are what, 70-80% water, right? So if that water is all muddy and dirty, right, and not distillated and clean, then that's going to be the reflection of your intelligence as well. So if you're fat and etc., that's bad, and you should work on that. You should start today already. We're just pixels on the screen, exactly. So yeah, that is it. People already know everything that they have to do, I'm sure. But everybody, again, is always looking for the magic wand, magic answer to a question, right? How to master React? I mean, Elia, that is a little bit of a weird question, right? I'm not sure what you mean how to master. Mastery in anything in life is achieved by experience, but it's 42, exactly. It's 42. I actually have the book right here. The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy. Shoots them. I mean, if TypeScript is just types, right? Exactly. Don't panic. Exactly. So TypeScript is just JavaScript with types, right? Almost, right? So I don't think it's marketing or anything like that. It just makes dynamic language kind of static looking like, right? So the thing is, it's. I mean, yeah. Don't overthink TypeScript, right? TypeScript is merely just. But it feels it gets on my way more than it helps. To some degree, I agree with you, right? I think there's certain times when you don't want to use TypeScript. There's one scenario where you don't want types in the JavaScript land, and that is if you're trying to. So think about it this way, right? Types in general are going to help you avoid regressions and type-related issues, right? They will, to a huge degree, make you more productive from one perspective. From another perspective, dynamic language like JavaScript or Python, when used without types, like just plain JavaScript, is going to make you really fast, right? You can write a lot of code really fast, right? But then you're going to have more regressions, more bugs, right? But don't misunderstand this. You as a CTO, as a team lead, as a tech lead, as somebody who makes these technical decisions, you need to understand and make a decision, what are you willing to accept? Because at certain stages of development cycle, let's say you are a ship fast, fail fast type of startup, you have 2 months to run. You just want to validate if something works or if it doesn't, right? In these scenarios, right, you can technically use JavaScript, accept a little bit more of bugs, a little bit, not necessarily. It doesn't have to mean that you're going to have more bugs. I'm not stating that it's an absolute truth. But in practice, it's, of course, if you remove the layer of protection, there's more likely that you're going to have the bugs, right? So there is a space for purely dynamic languages, especially when it comes to building things really fast, because it's very true that types, especially TypeScript, will in fact, right, slow you down in certain areas, right? But long term, it's going to help you a lot, right? Elia, I mean, these are very specific utilities, right? I cannot give you an answer. There's no better or worse, right? CSS properties and Tailwind classes and units and stuff, they're functions, right? View width, rem, em, these are functions, right? And these functions are executed or used when, depending what it is that you want to achieve, right? So if we speak about units in CSS, you cannot compare them like that, right? You cannot even compose a question like that because you're comparing very different things, right? For sure, I mean, so definitely types are definitely worth in the long run. So we're 100% on the same page. I'm just saying that there is a space for JavaScript without types, and there's use cases where you are better off, right? And that is the use case that I said. If you just need to write something very quickly, something that validates the idea, for example, of a startup, something that can get you funding, something that can get you to realization if what you're building is worth or not on the market, in these circumstances, it can be very quick to write just plain JavaScript, right? But for established products, for something long-term, of course, types are very useful, right? All right, I think Leo is leaving, so I'm going to leave as well, fellas. It's been 3 hours and I haven't streamed for... Elia, let's talk about CSS in more depth and more detail maybe next time I stream. So yeah, anyway, guys, thank you very much. I wish you a good night. Thank you for being here. It's good to be back. Thank you for the help and suggestions and stuff like that. And I'll catch you guys most likely tomorrow. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, stay well, be healthy, be smart, and we speak again soon. Boy, I gotta go. I'm sorry, man, but we speak another time. I gotta run now. It's midnight here, and I need to go to work. Craft, everybody, thank you very much.